Hi there and welcome back to MassiveSynth.com tutorials. This is part 3 in this month's series of tutorials based around making deep house sounds with Native Instruments Massive, and in this tutorial we're going to be doing a deep house arpeggiator type sound. It's a pretty cool little sound, nice like arpeggiator type sound. So let's start off by creating a new sound in Massive, and we're just going to be using two oscillators for this sound. So we can set oscillator 1 could be a pulse saw PWM and keep the pitch at 0, take the pulse saw position round to the left and the pulse width to about halfway, and pull the amp down to about halfway as well. Route to filter 1, we're only going to be using filter 1 for this sound, so you solo what we have so far. It's like a pulse width sound. I'm going to add in oscillator 2. It's going to be the main oscillator actually, and this can be the wavetable position can come round to the left, so it's a square, and take the pitch up by 12 semitones and keep the intensity on full, keep the amp on full, and route it to filter 1 again. And so there we go, that's what we have so far. So the next thing to set really is probably just do the envelope, just pull the attack up so you've just got a nice sharp attack and sustained sound. And so now we can set the arpeggiator. So for this first LFO slot, I'm going to hit this drop down menu and set it to a stepper. Sync this and put the ratio at 1/16, and we can actually pull the steps down to 8, so we're just only going to be using 8 steps for this arpeggiator sequence, and then drag the crosshair of this stepper to the pitch of both the oscillators and take the amount up by +12. So now when we start setting values in here, we're going to be affecting the pitch of these oscillators, so effectively making a arpeggiator type sound. So one thing I noticed is when you're making arpeggiator type sounds or drawing in values in this stepper box, if you hold Alt or Option you can get exact values. You can also do the same by just hitting the snap to grid button, and then I didn't realise this initially, once you're on the snap to grid then you just move up and down and you get these exact values here, which is pretty cool. Okay, so for this stepper type sound, I can make step 2 12, step 3 7, keep step 4 and step 1 at 0, step 5 is going to be 3, step 6 is going to be 12, step 7 is going to be 3, and step 8 is going to be 7. So, quite a nice sort of arpeggiator riff going on there. I want to bring in a bit of glide with the notes as well, so highlight all these boxes for the glide modulation and just pull the glide mod amount up. Obviously we don't want it right up there, just a little bit of so we've got a nice little bit of glide in between the notes. So next thing I wanted to do was activate a filter and make the sound a little bit more sort of plucky, less kind of like sustained really. So can use a low pass 4 filter for this. Pull the cutoff right down and the resonance right down. Make sure the volume of the filter is on full and the mix slider between the two filters is all the way to mix 1. And then in this second LFO slot we can make this a performer, sync it to 1/16 again, and we could probably just use one step for this. Keep the X phase sequence in between the two, but just through this top curve we just want to load in one of these. It's a bit more percussive, and then start modulating the cutoff frequency with this performer. So drag the crosshair here over to the cutoff and drag the modulation amount up. So obviously if you wanted it a little more sort of filtered, kind of dubbed out, you could pull this amount down or up, depending on what sort of sound you're going for really. So the next thing I wanted to do was control the level of some of those steps in this arpeggiator sequence. So we could do this with the performer, but we could also use another stepper here. So this is quite a cool trick for sort of making these arpeggiator sounds and then just controlling the level of some of these steps that we set in the stepper. So For the third LFO slot, make it a stepper again. Just going to be using 8 steps. Sync it 1/16 again. And then I want to drag the crosshair of this stepper over to the amp. So now any values I draw in this stepper are going to be sort of controlling the amplitude of the sequence. So you can actually kind of just duck some of the volumes of some of these. So it's quite cool really. So for step 1 and step 5, they're the steps that are clashing with the kick drum. So by sort of decreasing the volume of them a little bit, I'm almost creating like a sidechain effect there really. It's a pretty cool little effect to have with the sound, to just control the level of some of these steps that we've set in here. So next thing we could do is bring in some effects with the sound. So we could start off with a chorus. Just keep everything the same, maybe pull the offset down a little bit and the dry wet down to about 1/4 of the way. And next up we can do a synced delay synced, keep the dry wet around halfway, push the damp up so we're getting a nice bit of high frequency on that delay, pull the feedback down a bit, keep the left channel 4/16, the right channel 4/16. It's just, the sound's becoming a bit more dreamy now. We can have a bit of vibrato with the sound. I notice when you're creating a new sound in Massive, you would get this automatic vibrato dialed in. So I'm just going to pull the macro level up a little bit, which would be cool if you wanted to open the cutoff. So have that vibrato in there. And I think that's everything with the sound really. It's come together there, so so you have like a deep house arpeggiator sequence in Native Instruments Massive. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope you found it useful. Any questions, then please get in touch. And thanks for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Cheers. Bye.